Tell us your name and your role in Clore Station.
Sure, I'm Matt Lambert, partner at DPZ, and the partner in charge of the Clore Station project for the company. So I really organize and lead our team in collaboration with the family and other folks that the big team that's assembled to bring this vision to a reality.
Can you talk about DPZ's role in the design process for Clore Station?
Sure. Well, as the lead of the design team, which includes not only DPZ and our staff, but also architects and engineers that are really required to pull the sort of technical pieces together, we assemble that group, but we also use a process in design that brings together a wider collaboration of folks, which in this case included both the Clore and Jones family and siblings and cousins and everyone. There are a whole lot of people that we've interacted with from the family through the design process of design, as well as community members and officials from the city and the county. So from a process standpoint, what we like to do is really not start designing until we bring everyone together on the site. We call this process a charrette, and it's an intensive time of meetings to talk about specific topics and technical things, to test ideas with the family, with community members, all while our team is hard at work over hand drawings on tables, throwing ideas out there, and we just test and test and test until we come up with an idea that everyone thinks is right for the site, is right for the place, is right for Clore Station, really. So this process is really creative and interactive, but it's also technical. And so we at DPZ led this, assembled the folks and really led them through this iterative design process to arrive at what is the plan for Clore Station, the master plan.
How did DPZ approach creating the master plan, especially given the size and long time of the project?
So big sites like this are complex, but it really starts with what we call traces on the ground. What's there, the history of the site, right? The family's been on the site for over 2 centuries. It's really quite interesting. So there's a lot of history. We start with the history, we start with the physical conditions, the topography, groves of trees, the creeks. All these things shape what can happen. But then we layer onto that the ways that you can build a community that really works for people, that they really feel themselves in and love and cherish over time. And that is really how you lay out not only one neighborhood, but a series of neighborhoods together that work with each other. And that series of neighborhoods really structures the site. Each neighborhood needs a diversity of housing, a diversity of activities, open spaces, businesses, different ways to get from here to there, on the street, sure, but also in pedestrian ways and bike trails and walks through the woods. And so we layer all these pieces together and connect them to each other. But then also looking at sort of outside conditions. Where can town center, which is really mixed use retail, where can the town center exist? And that's really influenced by the interstate, by Highway 329, and by the topography of the site. So that really found itself, it really located the core of Clore Station, and we're able to then assemble neighborhoods around and layer them into the landscape and into the creek system and topography to really create a whole that pulls all these pieces together. So it's a process that begins from what's there, but we also like to just start with a blank sheet and imagine and go to the site, walk the site, see the views, really sort of feel it and understand it. And it's this creative process and also ideating. We didn't just draw one plan, we draw 20 plans and really assemble them together to get the best ideas to really make a holistic place that will be not only a development, but a community that people cherish.
What makes Clore Station unique compared to other traditional neighborhood developments?
Well, Clore is unique for a few reasons. One of which I've mentioned. You know, the family has had this property for a long time. You know, over 2 centuries. It's really special. But not only that ownership, it's the care. You know, they don't want to just see anything. This is a special place for them, and so it's what we call sort of family legacy. You don't often get to work on projects that are a legacy for a family. You know, occasionally, and we do from time to time, but it really means a different level of care and a different level of execution, and so that really makes the place special. Now, that's a core piece, and you know, the fact that the development team is the family. You know, they just care so much. They care about Crestwood as well. That in itself is really unique, but also the topography and the creeks. I'd mentioned that, and just what is envisioned for a series of parks and jogging paths and bike trails that tie neighborhoods together is really special, especially as you get deeper into the site, which will be later phases. But then there's also the location, which, again, the family having the property for a long time, it turned out that the interchange with 329 off of the interstate has not, because the family held the property, been developed. And that's really special because in many other projects, everybody wants the town center to be there, right? Which is, you know, where all the shops are and the restaurants and where people gather for social events. You have parties and parades and all those sorts of things. But usually you have to wait for that because you need enough people there. You need enough rooftops, enough customers. But because of the location, that's already built in. So really early on, Clore Station is focused on the town center and is being really successful at adding a lot of civic institutions to it. They have, you know, Clore Station has a really special opportunity to build the place from the beginning, and then sort of each phase that follows is additive. And you know, I think that's definitely certainly unique. But you know, I'm personally most interested in sort of the topographic changes and the parks and creek system, and just being able to walk from the town center, you know, a few blocks into the woods. You know, I think it's going to be really special.
How does DPZ's experience with similar projects inform the work at Clore Station?
Sure. Well, you know, DPZ's worked on all sorts of projects in different places. Luckily here, we worked on Norton Commons, which is, you know, just down the road, not too far away. And that makes a big difference because there is experience in the region of building the types of homes that really make for a diverse neighborhood that aren't usually seen in developments. But the expertise already exists, and we've done so here locally. We're able to speak with builders that work in Norton Commons and with the developers. That really helps provide some background. But in addition to that specific situation, having worked in many different places, in places with steep topography and flat topography, and places with tall buildings and short buildings, it really gives us the background to be able to hit the right note in terms of the sort of community building and the vision. You know, we have that flexibility to sort of like scale up or scale down. What does this place want to feel like? And that really helps us dial in what types of homes, how do they mix with what sorts of parks and playgrounds and plazas. So it's really that toolbox that we have from many other projects allows us to sort of customize here to the vision of the family and the feedback that we hear from community members, officials, and even what we see the land brings to the table.
What excites you most about continuing to work on Clore Station?
Well, you know, what's really exciting, and I think I've already mentioned it a few times, is is really that the family is so dedicated to the site. A legacy, a family legacy, is extremely, important, and really imbues quality and care into the development. So, I really think that they're going to do such a great job, and we've had a wonderful time being involved. It's not just the charrette and the master plan. It takes a whole lot of effort and testing and modifying and tweaking over time. So we've continued to be involved, and they've really been great to work with. And really every interaction, it's clear that this is what they're thinking about and care about, and they want it to be excellent. And that's really exciting to work with, because that's not always the case.
What does good growth mean here?
Well, good growth is setting a stage apart from, say, the history of what the Louisville Metro's seen for the past, 30, 40, 50 years. It used to be that development had, was basically of neighborhoods, one at a time, that are connected and walkable and have a diversity of homes. And there's plenty of historic examples around Louisville, but since the 50s and 60s, we've been doing something else. Pods of homes of just one type, separated from each other, creating this isolating homes from shopping centers. And that separation is what this is not about. That's what we would not call good planning. But it's nice to have an example like Norton Commons nearby, which shows you that you can have neighborhoods and businesses and parks and a main street, and really a whole diversity of characters and place and people that come together as a community and can celebrate together as a community. And that's good planning. And so that's what we bring here to Clore Station, is a diversity of experiences and opportunities and places, but connected, and connected to nature as well. That's good planning, is putting everything together rather than separating it.
What does walkability matter in a place like this?
Walkability matters in a lot of ways. I'd say the biggest thing is social connectedness, cohesion. Do you actually know your neighbors? Is it meaningful to walk? So you can develop a site with streets that have sidewalks, but do they go somewhere meaningful in a distance that really makes sense for you to use them? Well, when you put those destinations nearby, that might be a playground or a plaza, or maybe it's the corner store or a cafe, or your favorite bookstore. When those things are more convenient to walk to than to drive, then you're going to walk, and you're going to see your neighbors, and you're going to build a community. And that's really important, not only for the sort of care that people have in community and place, and that does help them care for the place over time. It's also very important, we find from scientific studies about mental health. It makes a huge difference in being socially isolated, or being amongst a lot of social connections, especially diverse connections, which even means not only my neighbors, but I can walk to the shop. If your child can go to the store and get milk or a candy bar on their own, even that means something different. So there's a whole lot that walkability means, and also with physical activity and issues that we see with public health. There's a whole lot that wraps into it. So luckily it's good for physical and mental health, but it's also really important for community cohesion and neighborliness.
What makes a master plan stand the test of time?
Well, what makes a master plan last, really, it's the people who live there, who make it their own, who love it and who cherish it and who care for it into the future. You know, if it's a place that you want to stay and you want your family to grow and to sort of thrive and flourish, and you have these connections with your neighbors, then you care about the place. Then the place is cared for and it lasts.